Hello, and welcome to episode 24 of the Mindful Knitter podcast. My name is Claire, and I am your host. Welcome to all new and returning viewers. Thank you so much for coming back. If you are returning, I really do appreciate you so much. I'm really enjoying this community that we have been building on this channel. And welcome. Welcome if you are new. I'm very glad that you found me and that you're going to hang out with me for a little while. I guess if you continue to watch the video, then you will be hanging out with me for a while. But yes, thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I'm glad that you're here. We have so many pretty yarn things to share today. I'm excited about it. I have a very long-term project that I am going to be sharing with you. If you know, you know, because you can tell. And yeah, lots of yarny goodness, and some knit chat, and also a mindfulness practice at the end. So towards the end, not like at the very end, but kind of towards the end. I'm coming to you from the southeast of the United States. I live here with my husband, Alex, our three Great Danes, Murphy, Nali, and Obi. And if you want to connect on social media, I'm on Ravelry and Instagram. So on Ravelry, it is Mindful Knitter Pod. Then we do have our Ravelry group, which is the Mindful Knitter podcast group. Yeah, it's Mindful Knitter podcast group. And if you want to connect on Instagram, I am the.mindfulknitter. There are other iterations of that name, but that's not me. Mine is the.mindfulknitter. And I would say I'm fairly active on Instagram. I don't post every day, but I post several times a week. And right now we have a thread going on Instagram for a magical make-along, which has some really fun projects in it so far. The Ravelry group also has threads for the magical make-along, and there's some great finished objects showing up in those threads. Some fun chatter going on as well. So I'll talk about the make-along later on in the episode, but that's been real great so far. I think I'm having fun with it. Any other things to mention before we get started? I don't think so. So I'll just kind of share with you our format for the episode. First will be finished objects, then some works in progress, some needle adjacent things, some acquisitions, might be a couple fun stories to go along with the acquisitions and needle adjacent. And then we'll do our mindfulness practice, and it will be knitting related mindfulness practice. Yeah, and then some knit chat. And at the end, we'll do some books that I've been reading the last couple weeks and that I've enjoyed, and some announcement about the next knit night. Sorry, I saw a car and I had to check to see it, make sure it wasn't sketchy. So yeah, that's kind of what we've got in store for today. Let's get into it. Hopefully I can keep us on schedule. And I do know that when I check for the knit night later, I was going to look it up before the episode, so I might have to look it up during the episode when we get to that point. But it is in September. I do know that. It's September something or other, and it's a Monday night for everybody who can't make the Wednesday night ones. Maybe the Monday night will work better. So, firstly, finished objects. My first finished object, if you've been around for a while, you will recognize this. This is my Flora Daze shawl. It's huge. I will attempt to show it to you, but it's real big. So this was knit with my Emma's hand-dyed, do I have the bag with me? It's Emma's yarn. It was the Smalliday kit. It's her Advent yarn kit from this past Christmas. And it has just knit up super beautifully. The pattern is Flora Daze by Laura. Is it Laura or Lauren? I think it's Laura. Dobratz. All of the information for everything we talk about will be in the description below the video. So if you want to look at the pattern name, or if I reference a video tutorial, or you want to know what the yarn is, all of that information is down below in the description of the video. So yeah, this is Emma's yarn. This was the little bag that it came in for the advent calendar this past Christmas. This was the Smalliday Super Silky. So the yarn is, okay, well, I actually don't have the specifications on here for the yarn, but I think it is just merino and silk. I don't think there's nylon. I think it's just merino and silk. And it is really beautiful yarn. It feels gorgeous to knit with, and then of course it looks gorgeous when you're done knitting with it. It's like magic yarn. And yeah, the pattern was Flora Daze by Laura Dobratz. So yeah, that's that. I have a lot left over, so I'm gonna have to do some sort of fun scrappy project with all of these. I have quite a bit left over. I don't think that this is 100 grams. That's a lot of scraps though. So I'll have to think of something special to do with them. I might do, ooh, that'd be fun to put them in a shawl. I have this giant wrap, and then I immediately do a shawl with the leftovers. But that'd be kind of fun, I think, maybe to pair them with like a mohair and do a shawl that way. So it could be like mohair and silk and merino and gorgeous colors. That might be kind of fun. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe with like a super light gray mohair. Or maybe like it would be awesome to get like a blue-gray mohair, because there's not really much blue in this at all. Like there are little like blue tones and like little blue specks, but none of these yarns were a like blue yarn, other than this at the very, very end was bluish. So that might be kind of fun. Well, I'll let you guys know whenever that becomes a thing. But yeah, so that was this one. It is about five skeins of yarn, because it was 25 minis, and they were each 20 grams. So that should be 5 skeins of yarn. Yeah, because it's 4 25s per 100 grams. Yeah, so there were 25 of them. They were each 20 grams. So yes, that should be 5 skeins. I could work out that math better in my mind, but it would take me a second. So we're gonna roll with it. If it's actually 4, then you know that, but because you've done that math, and I'm not going to right now, but it's about 5 grams. Or 5 skeins of yarn, you know, minus the leftovers that I had. In any case, it's huge. Let's look at it. So this is about 10 feet long. 10 feet long. It's so big. Oh my goodness. So yeah, we'll get like a big overview first. So starting at this end with this like little pointy guy, and we move through. What do you think? It's so big. It's pretty great. And the reverse side, I almost like the reverse side, or the wrong side, more. Because with the fade on the right side, you have these like stripy guys, which I actually do like in some bits, but here it looks too stripy for me. Yeah, that's a little too stripy for me. So actually on the wrong side, it like marls kinda. It doesn't truly marl, but it fades a lot more evenly and more smoothly on the wrong side, which is really great. I love it especially with shawls when they are very reversible, because then you don't have to stress out about making sure it's flipped the right way and worrying that you're going to look ridiculous with like it being inside out. So I love that. And then a little bit of a close-up for you if you're curious. So this I knit on my Hiya Sharps, my interchangeables. It is a paid-for pattern, so I won't really go into too much detail about the knitting of it. Little tail. It did a nice fun bind off I've never done before that I kind of like. It's very neat. And again, I don't want to name the bind off just in case because it's a paid for pattern, but it's very neat. If you're familiar with this bind off, then you'll know what it is probably by looking at it. But it's a very neat, and it's like a little stretchier than like a like standard bind off. But I would not call this a stretchy bind off. Also, I probably just bind off too tightly. I should really work on that within myself. But yeah, it's hard to kind of think of what else to say about it because it's just, I feel like it speaks for itself. I wonder if I should hang it up on the wall for like as artwork. It took forever to knit. Not so much because the pattern is difficult. I mean, you can tell, like it's mostly, it's like stockinette and garter. Like it's got some texture and, you know, it's not a complicated pattern at all. It's actually very beginner friendly. So if you're a beginner and you want to knit a giant shawl, this is your time. Yeah, so this is all fingering weight. Yeah, this is all fingering weight, about 5 skeins of it. And how long did it take me? I started this on Christmas Day because I opened up a mini each day of Advent and then cast on Christmas Day as my like Christmas Day cast on. This was my first time doing an Advent calendar. It was my first time doing a Christmas cast on. It was my first time knitting a shawl, truly knitting a shawl, like using a pattern. I had knit a shawl last autumn, but I made it up entirely, and I made it up as I went. Like I didn't even plan it out ahead of time, really. I made it up as I went, and it actually ended up being great. I'll probably show it again in the next few months as we get into autumn. You might see me wearing it on the podcast, so I can talk about it more then. I think it's a beautiful shawl. But this was my first shawl I'd ever knit using a pattern, and I really, really love it. I don't know what other specifications to really share with you guys. So I finished it. I bound off and woven the ends this morning. It is August 18th, and I started it on Christmas Day. So this was my long-term project for the year. I wasn't trying to finish this quickly. This was kind of my in the background project that I wanted to work on in between things or when I didn't feel like working on anything else, and I just wanted to knit with a rainbow, and it served that purpose well. This was mostly what I knit on for the last 2 weeks. So since last podcast, this is what I've been working on because I was about here last episode, or last time I showed it to you guys. So I knit all of this in the last 2 weeks. So from here to the very end. Yeah, so that was great. I needed that the last 2 weeks. I wasn't really in a space for knitting a bunch of stuff. I did a little bit on my one of my other works in progress I'll show you guys in a minute, but yeah, this was the main one. And I just am so happy. It has not been blocked. This is pre-blocking. It is this big pre-blocking. So after it's blocked, it's gonna grow. It's gonna grow. And I don't know when I'm gonna block it. I don't really have any plans to block it super soon because it is already so big and it's squishy. What I might just do is I might block it when I need to wash it, maybe. I don't really anticipate needing to wash this very often at all because It's a shawl. Like, I'm not taking it hiking with me. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with the blocking of this. But for the moment, I think I'm just going to leave it squishy and unblocked. Yeah, it's pretty great. Can you imagine how big this is going to be when it's blocked? Oh my gosh. It probably, I imagine it won't grow immensely because it's garter. Because I don't imagine that garter grows tons with blocking. It's not like lace that just like explodes, but it'll grow a bit. I feel a little bit like I've been watching a lot of Stephen West videos the past 2 weeks, especially while spinning. And I kind of feel like this is one of those like giant, colorful Stephen West shawls that you're like, how do I wear this? And he just like flips it around. And it's like, this is how you wear it. Have you seen that video of his? If you haven't, it's really funny. If I remember, I'll link it down in the description below. I think the one I'm thinking about is his like alter ego, Stephen East, trying to explain how you wear a shawl. He's just like flipping it all over the place. Because I imagine that he gets questions a lot from people. Like, how do you wear a shawl that big? And he's like this. And he just flips it every which way. That's what I feel like with this. I feel like it's so big. But like truly, it's really more of a wrap, I think. Like it's just a huge like wrap. So you just wrap yourself up in it. But I mean, it scrunches up. So like I can do it as like a scarf, like a really, really big scarf. So I could scarf it up. Probably more of that color on top maybe. Yeah, or I could use it like kind of like a blanket, like a schlanket kind of thing. It's so big. I could use it for all kinds of things. So yeah. This is the big exciting one for today, I think. It is huge and it is amazing. It's truly amazing. I think that this is just like, this is art. This is why I knit. Yeah, and it was just a joy to knit, as you can imagine. Every time I knit on it, I was happy with it because the yarn itself is beautiful. Emma's yarn is wonderful. She does amazing work. So yeah, and the pattern was very like meditative and simple and lovely. So, I think I've run out of stuff to say about it. It's just awesome. It's just really, really awesome. You'll probably see it more in the future. So, all right, so next, let's do my socks. So I did finish my socks that I showed you guys last time. Yay, I even have them prepared on sock blockers. Look at me go. These are the Aniversario socks well, that's the colorway. This is Malabrigo, and the colorway is Aniversario. Ah, I'm dropping stuff. Okay, I got it. Yeah. 005. Yeah, this is Malabrigo sock. It is 100 grams, 440 yards, and 100 grams. It is 100% superwash merino wool. And it is super soft. So soft. I love Malabrigo yarn. Who doesn't? Yeah, and it's always very special to me. I think I've heard this from a lot of people, that Malabrigo is like the first like hand-dyed yarn that they ever knit with, and that Malabrigo is very special to a lot of people for that reason. And it's special to me for the same reason. It's the very first hand-dyed yarn that I ever knit with. I didn't have any concept of hand-dyed yarn or indie-dyed yarn or anything other than was at Hobby Lobby. And I got some Malabrigo a few years ago, and it was the Malabrigo Rios in the Hojas colorway. And it's so special. I love Malabrigo. I feel like Malabrigo is out there changing lives. So here's the beautiful, beautiful Aniversario socks. Yeah, these are just gorgeous. All those colors. So I knit these my usual way, 56 stitches. I knit, I think it was 11 rows for the cuff. These are 1 by 1 rib. I did the heel flap, the slip stitch heel flap and gusset, and the rounded toe. I did knit these cuff down. These are knit on US 1s. And I think I had like one US 1.5 in there too. I tend to knit them with some combination of US 1s and US 1.5s. It's usually heavy on the US 1s though, because if I do a US 1.5, then they are a little floppy. But I get a good fabric with the US 1s and then like one US 1.5 mixed in. And it looks like I have one little like holy guy. I usually don't have any holes where I pick up. So that's interesting. I have one on that sock. So I must not have picked up. So what I do is I like pick up an extra stitch or two. Sometimes I'll pick up an extra 2 stitches like in this area when I'm picking up the stitches. From a heel flap, and I'll also twist that stitch, and that usually like closes up that little hole. So I normally don't have any holes right there, but I guess I just was in a hurry when doing it that day or wasn't paying very close attention. So I just have a teeny tiny one. That's okay. Yeah, so these are super, super soft. And ooh, how many did I do for the leg? I think that this is like a 40 or 50 row leg, which I think is a good leg length for me. I don't really like a long leg on my socks, but I think I was doing them a little too short for a couple of pairs that I'd knit, because when I wear them, they stretch out, so they shorten a little bit, and they were getting a little too short. So I think that I like this length more. So I think I'll probably count this up and write it down in my crafting journal, my making journal, so that I remember it for the future. I feel like that's so dramatic. Behold my socks. So yeah, these were great. I'm happy to have those. I haven't knit myself a pair of socks since June, so that was nice. I have not been knitting tons of socks this summer. I did have lofty plans for doing summer sock camp with the crazy sock lady. Nope, that didn't happen. I just knit a whole bunch of shawls. I'm happy with it though. A lot of my sock yarn, my yarn that I had bought for socks originally, is now being reassigned to shawl projects. Yeah, I'm on a super shawl kick right now. I guess I can talk about that maybe a little bit more with knit chat, but so last finished objects to show you guys for this week are handspun yarn. I count this as finished objects because depending on the skein, it takes a long time to spin these. So not nearly as long as it does to knit something usually, but depends on the yarn. It depends on what you're knitting. Sometimes I can knit a hat in an evening a lot more quickly than I can spin a skein of yarn if it is going to be like a sport weight. So these are some yarns that I've spun up in the past 2 weeks since last time. I don't think I've shown any of these yet. I don't think I showed any of them on the last podcast episode. I don't think I'd had them done yet. So this guy I actually spun for my sister-in-law because I taught her how to crochet this winter, and my mom found this yarn or this fiber when she went to a new yarn shop with me that's in Pensacola, and it's Studio South Pensacola, and I'd never been there before, so I was like, oh, they just opened up recently, I'll go check them out, because I will typically go to like Dixie Knits, but yeah, anyway, Studio South Pensacola. They're amazing. I'll talk about them a little bit more later. And I think I'm actually going to go over to the shop and hang out with her next week. So that'll be fun. So this is like a lovely tweed. This is the Legacy colorway. It is merino and bamboo. And I think, if I am not mistaken, I think that Paradise Fibers has this fiber. So if you're interested, I am pretty sure this is their bamboo merino tweed blend in the Legacy colorway, because I was watching Jillian Eve's channel this week, and I've gotten super into watching Jillian Eve. If you're a spinner, or if you just love watching spinning or learning about spinning or history of fiber arts, Jillian Eve's channel is so good. She is a delight. She is just the cutest human being ever, and she is very knowledgeable. So anyway, she had a fiber that she did in one of her unboxings from quite a while ago. I was going through all of her videos and pretty sure she unboxed this fiber from Paradise Fibers at one point during an unboxing. So let's see. Well, I actually don't have the specifications right here because I tried to be prepared, but oh, actually, here it is. Okay, good. Sometimes all my devices sync and sometimes they don't. So it's always up in the air as to whether or not like the information is going to transfer from one to the other. So I try to send it manually, but sometimes I forget things. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. This was 183 yards. Did this whole update? Yeah, okay. I think it did. Yeah, this did update. So yeah, it was 100 and, what did I say? 183 yards, which is about what I was wanting to get because, and this is about 117 grams. I wanted something a little on the chunkier, bulkier side for my sister-in-law because she just started crocheting, and she also has two small children, like one's a toddler and one is not yet a year old. So she needs, if she's gonna do some crochet, it probably would be nice to have something that'll be a little quicker. So I spun that up for her. I'm gonna put you there. I spun this one up for my mom. This is 100% merino. I need to get better at skeining, obviously. But this is the colorway called It Calls Me. This was 265 yards and about 120 grams. It's got a little sparkle that kind of shows up a little bit. And this is going to go with, oh, I actually do have it right here, so I can show it to you. I showed this to you guys last time. Oh gosh. Oh god. Okay, I got it. We're good. I spun this one up for her during Tour de Fleece. So these two are two little coordinating skeins that my mom is going to be getting. She picked out these fibers and asked me to spin them for her. Whether or not she is going to knit or crochet with them, or I am going to knit something for her with them, remains to be seen. She might decide that she wants me to knit something for her, and that's perfectly fine. These will go into her birthday present bundle because I'm going to be visiting them soon, and her birthday is past now, but we'll celebrate it a little belatedly, and these will go into her little bundle of gifts that I'm giving her. I didn't really want to just give her these since she bought this fiber. I know, like, I invested a lot of time and energy into spinning them up for her, but I got her a couple other things too, because I don't know, it just felt weird to me to be like, here, I'm giving this to you when you paid for it. I don't know, that probably doesn't really matter, but that was just my thoughts about it at the time. So the other two I have to show you, I'm actually pretty excited about. One of them, this one, whew, This one is from Wound Up Fiber Arts. This is her super sock. It is merino and nylon. I think it's, I want to say it's like, I don't know. I don't remember the percentages at all, so I'm not even going to guess. But it's merino and nylon. And this was 241 yards and 118 grams. And it's, I can't describe to you how soft it is. It's impossible. It's literally impossible to describe how soft this is. It's like nothing I've ever, experienced. It's really gorgeous. This was so easy to spin. Her fiber prep is amazing. She does a wonderful, wonderful fiber prep. And you can kind of see a little haloing on it where it's just so fluffy. Yeah, this is just, I don't know how well you can see those colors. And I did this as a chain ply. Those other two were, they were both 2-plied, but I wanted to do a chain ply on this one to really, I don't know. I thought that like used the colors nicely. So I don't know what I'm going to be making with this one yet, but this is going to have to be something super snuggly because it's so soft. It's so soft. I really love that a lot. Yeah, my friend Chelsea introduced me to fiber, Wound Up Fibers. She actually gifted me that fiber. And now I have bought some more. So thanks, Chelsea. We enable each other, I suppose. That's part of the community. Sounds a little bad, but it's all for fun and joy. So yeah, I just bought some more fiber from Wound Up, and I can't wait to spin it up. That's just beautiful. Yeah, so that's that one. And then this last one is really fun. This is from Banshee Fiber Arts on Etsy. And what's fun about this one is this is my first fractal gradient. So I'll probably post a few pictures on Instagram of the process with this one because it's, you know, it's hard to see it skeined up like this, but this was a really fun, yeah, fractal gradient that goes from this super pale yellow to like a medium dark, like super mauvey gray. It is a gray, but it's like a very mauvey gray. And this is merino and silk. And I got 293 yards and 119 grams. And this, I think, is going to turn into a gradient shawl because I spun this to be a fractal gradient. And so I wanted it, it's a 2-ply. So I did, so one ply, so one single, I did all of the colors like in chunks. So like I split up the fiber so that I'd get like a chunk of mauvey gray, a chunk of like this burgundy color, a chunk of like that. And then my other single, I did like shorter, like repeats of the colors so that, yeah, we got the fractal of the gradient versus just a gradient. So I think I'm going to spin up another coordinating skein to go with this, and this is probably going to turn into a very fun faded shawl, and I'm excited about it. And it's nice. It is squishy and soft. It's silk and merino, so it's squishy and soft. I do a very like lofty, like almost underplied kind of spin, kind of like on purpose. I like that for handspun. It's hard for me to buy yarn that has that quality, so when I spin it, I want it to be a little underspun so that it's super lofty and squishy and fluffy, so that I can feel like I'm knitting with a cloud. So this is going to be a super cozy shawl, I think. So those are all of my, yeah, I've got another spinning project that is a work in progress right now, but I don't have it to show you. So those are my my FOs to show you for this week, or for this 2-week one, I've got my Flora Daze shawl, which was knit over the course of 8 months. Knit over the course of about 8 months. I've got my socks, and I've got 4 skeins of Handspun. So I think that's pretty good over the last 2 weeks. I think it's pretty good. I'm happy with that. I was a little worried I wouldn't have anything. I was actually going to film this podcast yesterday, and I didn't have any finished objects because this I just could not get done yesterday. I was trying so I could film in the morning, and it just wasn't going to happen. And then my socks still had like another 2 inches. So I was like, I'm not going to have any finished objects other than yarn to share with these people. What am I doing with my life? And then it just like occurred to me, like I have time this morning. I don't know why I got so stuck on Wednesday. I was like, I have to film on Wednesday. We filmed on Thursday morning and we were fine. So I don't think any of you guys mind too much. So works in progress now. We'll scooch on because that was a long time to talk about finished objects. Good grief. I hope that this episode is not a million years long. So I'll try to go through works in progress pretty quickly. So this is my Harry Potter project bag from Anomalous Mind with my little Trelawney's Tea of the Month Club pin. I have the information for the pin and the project bag in my previous podcast episode. If you are interested in checking that out, I will probably have it linked below as well though, since I mentioned it. Ignore these. Yeah, I was teaching my friend to knit this weekend. We went to Barnes & Noble and I taught her how to knit at Barnes & Noble, and also I bought some things at Barnes & Noble. And we went to Hobby Lobby beforehand to get her some yarn. So I got some yarn. So I'll share those things with you in acquisitions. But those are all the needles that I had brought with me, and so that she would have a variety to choose from based on the yarn that she purchased and preference for straight or circulars or those things. So that's what all those needles were about. But if you've never knit in Barnes & Noble or a bookstore or like the library or something before, I recommend it. It was soothing and it was very fun. It was nice to be around people and to be around books. They've got a Starbucks in Barnes & Noble, which was nice. So yeah, that was just a lovely way to spend a Saturday. So this is my Weasley sweater that I have going for the Magic Make-Along. I don't remember how much I had done when I showed it to you last week. Oh, I think it was right here because I did put this little progress marker or progress keeper there. So yeah, so I have not gotten tons done because I was working on this guy. I just wanted to knit a rainbow the last 2 weeks. I really wasn't feeling this sweater over the last 2 weeks. And I think that it's a combination of it's really hot outside and this is super, I mean, it's bulky at this point. I'm holding 2 strands of DK together. So we're getting it's not like super, super bulky. I think it's a pretty light DK. So I would say like Aran to bulky. And I always get chunky and bulky, like confused. I don't know which one is which. I should probably learn that at some point in my life, but today is not that day. So yeah, so I've gotten that much done. This was where I left off last time, and I've gotten about an inch and a half since then, maybe 2 inches. We might be pushing 2 inches. But yeah, so this is my cute little progress keeper. It's a little mortar and pestle. I'll share some more information about that with you guys in a few minutes. I don't have the information with me in my hand, but it's in the bag. So I'll share that with you guys when we get to acquisitions, because this was an acquisition over the last 2 weeks. I ordered it a while ago, but it finally came. So yeah, it has well, I won't tell you too much about the pattern. It's a paid for pattern. This is the Mrs. Weasley's hand knit Christmas sweater. Such a long pattern name. It's basically a Weasley sweater. And it is in the Magical Knits or Magical Knitting. It's the Harry Potter pattern book. The first one. I think they've since come out with a second one. And they have a crochet one. So yeah, this is my Tweed Weasley sweater that I have not knit much on. And I think that I haven't done much with it because as I'm holding it, I really want to knit on it. So I'll just do that while I'm talking about it. This is what happens. So I think the reason that I haven't been knitting on it is because it's really hot outside, one. And then two, I don't think I'm a huge fan of solid colors or solid-ish colors because it's a tweed, but it's basically like a solid color. It's just, I mean, it's a solid color with little like flecks in it. And it's not the same as like a speckled yarn. So it's just, I think that it's just not my favorite, and I should take note of that now so that in the future I don't keep doing that, and I don't keep like messing myself up when I start a huge project with a basically solid colored yarn and then I'm like, I don't want to knit this anymore. Because I think I get a little bit of palette fatigue. I think I like to see the different colors and things go by, and when it's just all one solid color, it gets kind of meh. At least in stockinette, I don't think I mind it so much for when I'm knitting lace because the lace is interesting the whole time. But if I'm just knitting stockinette in the round and it's a solid color in addition to it being stockinette in the round, I think it's a little, I need a little more like visual stimulation, I guess. I don't know. And then the yarn itself is really good yarn. I think it's going to make a great sweater. And I think when it's like washed and blocked, it's probably going to puff up nicely because it's merino. But it is not like a super soft or super silky. Like it's soft, but I would call this like a soft rustic feel. It's not like cloud soft, baby soft. Although you could probably use this for, you could probably get away with it for a baby, but not for me as a baby, because I like it real soft. So I think that that's what I'm running into with these big like sweater projects that I keep doing, or like shirts, like my dive tee. I ran into the same issue. I loved that yarn. It was a soft cotton yarn from We Are Knitters. It was in the copper colorway. It was a beautiful like copper penny color that had like a little bit of like luster. It was so beautiful, and I love that shirt, and I've worn it so many times this summer, but it was not super interesting to knit with after the first several hours. Yeah, so I think that's just the issue that I keep running into, and I need to be mindful of that in the future. If I'm going to knit a garment, or if I'm going to knit anything like more than just a few rows, that isn't lace, I think I need to avoid solid or solid-like yarns because I don't want to pick them up and I don't want to knit with them. I want to knit with like the rainbow, apparently. So that's what I'm learning. Also, this is sad. They still work though. So these are my Hi-Hi Sharps interchangeables, and look what has happened. You see it? Yeah, so I knit in a rocking chair because I'm old, and yeah, my rocking chair smushed my needle. But I just hold it like this, and actually it's pretty comfortable, and it knits just fine. So maybe one day I'll get a replacement, but for now, it's okay. So the yarn that I'm using for this is very pretty yarn, and I do really like it a lot. It is Ella Ray. It's the Ella Ray Eco Tweed. It's organically grown merino tweed blend. It is 328 yards in 100 grams. So like I said, it's like a super light DK. 328 yards in 100 grams. And it is 75% merino, 25% polyamide. It's 100% organic, certified. It's got a few different specifications for it to be called their Eco Tweed. And I'm holding it double and on the ends with this really pretty, also Ella Ray. That was an accident. I bought these at two completely different stores, months apart from each other, had no plans to use them together in a project, but they called for each other. So this is Ella Ray DK Merino Superwash. This is pure superwash merino wool. This is the Riverwood Heather colorway. It really is beautiful. It makes me think of like a Wedgwood blue. It is 260 yards in 100 grams. So more what I would think of as being like an actual DK. So yeah, that's knitting up nicely. And I'm going to hold those double on the, like any kind of like edge. So probably the collar, definitely cuffs. I've already held them double on the end here. And it's very subtle. Like you can barely tell, but you can, if I move it around, you can kind of tell, which I think is kind of fun. I think it adds a little bit of interest, and it'll stretch my yarn out a little bit more because I'm not confident that I have enough yarn. And if I have extra, that's perfectly fine because I have another project in mind to use for any extra, any leftovers I have from the tweed. So that's my Weasley sweater. It's slow going, but as it starts to cool down outside, I imagine that I will want to knit it more. I also feel like I may have to practice a little bit of like structured, disciplined knitting around it, and do like 30 minutes a day or 20 minutes a day or something of my sweater knitting. Excuse me. Because I do want to get it done by the end of the knit along or the make along. I have a new cast on for my next work in progress. This is in my I don't know if it's Cavallini or Cavaglini & Co. Because I can't tell, but my little mushroom bag. These are not sock bags. Like these are bags you can get at different art supply stores, boutiques and things. Like it's a pretty big, well-known company. You can get this brand on Amazon, but they work perfectly for my socks. So it'd probably be a little, no, I had 100 gram skein in here for my socks. So yeah, so this works perfectly for my socks. So I cast these on for Alex because he wanted boot socks, but the last boot socks that I knit for him, he said weren't tall enough. So he still likes them and he's still wearing them, but he can't wear them with his boots because he needs them to be taller. So I got him some Paton's Kroy because he wants some thick, kind of like hard wearing sock yarn or socks. This is in the Adrift colorway. Adrift, that is not going to focus. It never focuses on words. I don't know why I try. It doesn't focus on words. I know that. Yeah, so Paton's Kroy sock. I got two 50 gram skeins because his feet are bigger than mine and he wants a longer leg. So we need 100 yards for this, or 100 grams for this. It is 166 yards per 50 grams, 75% wool, 25% nylon. It is a rustic kind of feeling yarn. If you're familiar with Paton's Kroy, you will know this. I would say a lot of people are, but when I first started knitting, I did not know what Paton's Kroy was. So I will continue to say what all the things are and not assume people know what I'm talking about. Because when I started watching knitting podcasts, I had no idea what people were talking about half the time. And they would say things like, obviously everybody knows this thing. And I'm just like, I don't know that thing. Tell me what that thing is. So I will continue to tell you what the things are. Yeah, so we've got two of these guys. This is fun. I originally didn't love to knit with Paton's Kroy because I had just discovered super soft indie dyed yarns and, you know, things like merino wool. And so I didn't want to knit with Paton's Kroy. But as I have knit 1,000,005 socks in this past almost year, Paton's Kroy is fine. I don't mind knitting with it at all, especially if it's self-striping. So this is a super fun self-striping colorway. I'm knitting these on size US 2 DPNs. I knit all my socks DPN. I'm doing a 2x2 rib for the cuff on these. This is 11 rows. And for his socks, I usually cast on 64 stitches for his normal socks. But for sport weight, and then this is like a heavy sport for the Paton's Kroy, this is 60 stitches. So for his last pair of sport weight socks, I did 62 stitches. These I'm doing 60 because he doesn't need 64 stitches for a US 2 in Paton's Kroy. Like he just doesn't. And I'm honestly a little concerned that these are going to be a little big. So I I think I'm gonna like try to, I may even put these on waist yarn and have him try them on that way, because I'm not convinced that they're gonna be small enough, like tight enough, because he likes a lot of negative ease in his socks. And if he's going to be wearing them with boots, like I don't want them to be like floppy and uncomfortable. So we might have him try those on, but those are fun. I'm enjoying those. Self-striping socks are always a joy to knit. And they're in my little mushroom bag, which makes me very happy. So that's those guys. And my last work in progress to show you, I am making that flower crocheted top for my niece. I'm crocheting a bunch of granny square flowers, or flower granny squares, to stitch together to make her a shirt, but that'll be her Christmas present, or one of her Christmas presents. And I haven't really made any progress on it since last time, so I'll share it with you guys maybe in the next episode, because I think I'll be getting some more of those granny squares done over the next couple weeks. So this is my road trip mystery knit along that is hosted by Really Clear Designs. We get our last clue on Saturday, so in 2 days we're getting our very last clue for this make along, which is a little sad. It's been going on since May, so we've all been in this together for a long time now. It's been so much fun. I've talked about it before, but it's a great group of people in it. The Facebook group is super active and interactive and fun. And the designers are super supportive and responsive, and they're just really fun as well. So I've really enjoyed this make along. Yeah, if you're doing the mystery make along and you don't, or mystery knit along and you don't want to see what I'm about to show you, then look away, because this is, I've almost completed the last clue. I haven't quite yet, but I'm almost there, so I'm pretty far along. So this is your warning. Don't look away now if you so desire. So here it is. It's very fun. Each little section is a different pattern. Yeah, which I won't show you in great detail because I've shown it to you guys so many times already. Oh, and my stitches are coming off my needle. That is unhelpful. There we go. A few of them actually came out, but that's easy to fix. I'll fix that later. So yeah, we had these guys, and you can see how they have been attached to make this V-shaped shawl. This is going to expand quite a bit because there's a lot of lace in here, so I imagine this will grow quite a bit with blocking. Yeah, quite a bit of lace going on, so I think it'll be a good shawl. Yeah, these are, I don't know how much I'll actually end up wearing it. I will wear it, and I might wear it more than what I'm thinking. I might surprise myself because I love blue. So I might end up wearing it more than what I'm thinking I will, especially once it blocks out and like becomes a little like flowier and bigger. I'll show you this half as well. But yeah, this is a great make along. You can choose what you want to do. They give you options, so you can either knit, the same pattern on both sides and have your sides match, or you can do something different for each of them, because there are 2 designers and they give you an option each clue. So they give you a clue every 2 weeks, and so every 2 weeks you can choose to do Valerie's or Cynthia's clue, or you can choose to do both, which is what I did. So you just do, Cynthia's twice or Valerie's twice, or you do both Cynthia's and Valerie's once. And that's how you get all of these different sections. And I've talked about this yarn at great length in other podcasts. So it's Big Sky Yarn Co. And the colorways are going to be listed below. This variegated one is probably the one to mention. This is a custom colorway for Dixie Knits in Pensacola. This is Toes in the Sand, and it's a pretty variegated kind of oceany colorway. The other two are, the dark one is Summer Storm. Pretty sure that this medium one is St. Lucia, and this is Cool Beans, although I could have them backwards. In earlier episodes, when I was first talking about this, like several episodes ago, I had the colorways matched with the right ones, but I don't anymore. So I'll probably get that all figured out for you guys by the time it is a finished object. But for now, we live in mystery. I recognize that's not super, super helpful, but those colors are pretty different. So if you get online and you're trying to order them, you can tell which one's going to be St. Lucia and which one's going to be Cool Beans, because they don't look remotely similar. Okay. So I think those are my finished or my works in progress. Oh no, I have one more finished. Oh my goodness, work in progress to show you guys. This one's kind of a cool one. So I shared with you guys, I've shared this before, that I'm working on my dissertation right now. I'm actually taking the fall off, so I'm not going to be working on my dissertation as much because I won't be enrolled, but I will still be doing work on it because there's some independent stuff I can do before I start doing data collection in the spring. So I'm going to still be doing dissertation work this fall, but not as much as I was because I'm taking the fall off to help out with family things and stuff like that. So what I am doing, I just cast this on a week or so ago, and this is a dissertation project. So basically the idea is when I am feeling unmotivated and I don't want to work on my dissertation, which is most of the time, I have a project that I'm only allowed to work on if I'm working on my dissertation. So like I do a little data entry, I knit a row. I write a couple sentences, I knit a row. I read part of an article, I knit a row. Whatever. So I'm going to be filming some training videos for I'm going to be knitting I'm going to be filming a series of training videos as part of my research this fall, and so this project is going to be helpful for that because I don't really want to film those videos at this point, just because I'm kind of tired and a little burnt out. So I get to knit rows in order to film the video. So that's kind of how it works. You motivate yourself to do the work you need to do by pairing it with a very enjoyable activity. In this case, my dissertation shawl. So this is the shawl that I will be knitting. It's called the Parisian Thoroughfare shawl. It says La Merino. I think that's the yarn. This is a cascade pattern, Cascade Yarns pattern, using their La Merino in the sample. But the design is Parisian Thoroughfare shawl by Shannon Dunbabin. I'm assuming that's how you say her name. I'm not positive, so don't quote me. But this is the pattern. Let me see if you guys can see this well. Yeah, so it's really beautiful. It looks kind of like leaves. Yeah, I think that's going to be a really beautiful shawl. Can you see it better like that? Yeah, so I think this is going to be beautiful. And the yarn that I'm using for this is from Studio South Pensacola yarn. Studio South Yarn Coal. This was hand dyed by Natalie, the owner of the shop. I'm almost positive. This colorway is called Gulf Coast. It is 80% merino, 20% nylon, 328 yards and 100 grams. It's a 3-ply, and it is beautiful. It is really beautiful. I wish I had shown it to you guys when it was still skeined up. But I'll probably post a picture of that on my Instagram at some point, because I did take a picture of it as a skein. And yeah, it's beautiful. It's this variegated blues. It looks like the ocean. It's very reminiscent of the Gulf Coast. So I have just this little bit done because I just started it the other day. And I'm trying to do more dissertation than knitting. So I'm really trying to like complete complete a task and then get a row done, and then complete a task and then get a row done. So it's going to be slow going, but that's okay because I have a lot of dissertation left to do. I'm probably going to switch out these stitch markers for like cuter coordinating ones, but this is just what I had nearby at the moment. So yeah, I just had like this little bit done, and this is a free pattern on Ravelry. I'm pretty excited about it. I think that this is going to be very pretty. The yarn is soft and squishy, and I'm very excited to have something that is soothing. I picked these colors because these are the colors I thought of when I was thinking dissertation project, and they're kind of soothing colors. So if I'm feeling kind of stressed out, then the ocean can soothe me. Which it will be doing shortly because I'm going to be oceaning all next week, I think. So yeah, those are all of my works in progress. I am pretty excited about the dissertation shawl. I think it's going to be very helpful. It's already been helpful. I have some dissertation work I need to do today or tomorrow. And that's going to help me do it. I'm already like dreading it less because I know I get to work on my shawl at the same time. I do actually really love my dissertation project, and I've loved my doctorate, my doctoral studies. But it's just, it's a long thing. I'm in year 5 of the doctorate, and, you know, after, 4 years of undergrad, 2 years of master's, clinical work, and then now 5 years of the doctorate, and I have, this will be my 5th year. I'm just kind of tired. So, yeah, I do actually really love what I'm studying. I love my field. I love my job. But I'm tired a little bit, I think, of school in particular. So even though I do love school, and eventually I would like to teach at the graduate level, I think that'd be wonderful. So I'd love to be adjunct faculty at some point after graduation one day. So we'll see. But yes, so that's that. Knitting is helpful. Knitting is helpful in all kinds of areas in life. It helps me get my stuff done. So I kind of want to share this needle adjacent project with you guys next, because I'm going to be casting this on this next week. I'm very excited if you can't tell. Okay, I'll gather myself. So yes, now that I'm going to be finishing the Flora Daze shawl within the next few days, probably. I'll probably have it done by like Monday or Tuesday. So that leaves me with my Weasley sweater, my husband's socks, which are not going to take very long because they're Paton's Kroy socks. And that's pretty much it. I'm just kind of crocheting some granny squares here and there, a few at a time, for my niece's shirt, but that's pretty much it. So I'm casting on a new project. And do you want to see the yarn for it? Look at this. These are handspun, my friends. This one was handspun by my friend Chelsea. She gifted this to me so that I would have some handspun to knit with, because I had, said months ago, last fall, I think, that, I'd never spun with handspun, and, I had been wanting to spin for years, but I didn't know when I'd ever be able to get a spinning wheel, hopefully soon. Anyway, so Chelsea is just, an angel. She's a yarn angel, and she donated some handspun to the podcast for prizes, and she gifted me a few as well. These are her handspun. It's her handspun. So this is a skein that she spun, and I need to ask her what the content is. I am going to guess BFL or Corriedale, just based on the feel, but I'm not an expert in these things. I'm going to guess Corriedale, or I think BFL. I'm leaning BFL, but I don't know. Chelsea, what is this? But this is beautiful. She does a gorgeous job. Yeah, and this is just really, really beautiful. And I'm pairing it with 2 of my Handspun skeins. So this one, these are both actually Tour de Fleece skeins that I spun. I spun both of these for Tour de Fleece this year. So this one is fluffy merino. I think this is Superwash merino goodness. And this is the lily pad colorway from Nanette Wake Studio on Etsy. She does, I think, still have, she has tons of yarn. I buy yarn from her all the time. I can't stop, and I have a problem. There are actually some stitch markers that she's got right now that I might buy today. Yep. So this is her hand-dyed fiber, and I spun it up for Tour de Fleece. And then this is also wound up fiber arts from Chelsea. She gifted me this as well. And I spun this up in Tour de Fleece as well. This is a Falkland. And this is not skeined up very well. Please forgive me. Yeah, gorgeous. The specifications for the lily pad and the Falkland. What's this one called? Oh, I don't actually remember the colorway name. I think that the Faster was the super sock one. So the purple and teal and browns, that colorway was Faster by Wound Up Fiber Arts. This one I think was Around Town. I don't know if she's got these anymore though. I think she does kind of small batches. She does updates every Saturday, I think. I think she does an shop update every Saturday on her website. But yeah, so this was the Falkland, and it is, what were you? This is 325 yards and 112 grams. And then my lily pad was 411 yards and 113 grams. It's lofty though, so I wouldn't say that sounds like fingering weight yardage, but it's not fingering weight. I'd say DK. It's a lofty, fluffy yarn, so I would say this is a DK. And I would call this like a DK, maybe worsted. And this one to me looks like a DK worsted. So these all like are pretty similar in their diameter of, I'll probably do get a spinner's control card and check it out to see what it looks like. But these I think are lovely together. I'm thinking I don't know if I'm going to color block them or if I'm going to do like a fade type thing, but what I'm going to be knitting with them, so you want to know what I'm knitting with them, I want to tell you what I'm knitting with them. This is something that I have been wanting to knit for quite a while. This is a designer that I adore. Her podcast I adore. And part of it is just for like what it means to me personally. She was the very first knitting podcast I ever watched, and I've been watching her podcast for several years now. And I think I started watching her podcast at the beginning of the pandemic, so early 2020. So I guess a couple years now I've been watching her podcast, and I just love her. She's awesome. It's Mina Phillip from Knitting Expat podcast and Knitting Expat Designs, and I've never knit one of her patterns. This is going to be my first pattern of hers that I'm knitting. It is her Hug Shrug. There's Mina. Yeah, this is her Hug Shrug, and you can see a little bit the texturing that's on the shrug. And it's just this like really big like hug, and it's perfect, I think, for hand spun. You can use, any yarn you want for it, but I think it looks like it'll lend itself really well to hand spun, especially in her description of this pattern. She talks about how it is adjustable for basically any gauge, any size yarn. She tells you in the pattern how to swatch to figure out what your cast on number needs to be for whatever size yarn you're using. So you can use, I think anywhere from fingering to like a chunky weight yarn. So I think that's really cool. And it's very adjustable. It's like basically a big rectangle, and it has some seaming, and then you can add like cuffs and stuff to it. It has like a little fold over, like kind of shawl collar thing. Yeah, I'm very excited. This is all information that I have gotten. I haven't bought the pattern yet, so I'm not giving too much away. This is all like, she talks about it in her podcast, and I think it's in the description of the pattern as well. So yeah, I'm gonna buy the pattern, I think today or tomorrow, so that I can cast on early next week or this weekend. And yeah, so this will be my blue and green hug shrug. That'll mostly be probably for wearing around the house, but I don't know, it might get worn a lot. It's gonna be super cozy. Excuse me. Ugh. That was a powerful sneeze. So that is my needle adjacent project. That'll be cast on in the next few days. Additionally, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead because it's almost September. So you guys, I want to tell you about this. So what is the name of the designer? There's a knit along that I am going to be participating in, and I think it's a mystery knit along. I don't think I'm going to do the mystery part of it. Okay, it's Imagined Landscapes. So you might be familiar with Imagined Landscapes. She does the gnomes. So look at this. Coming in September, there's a mystery gnome along. What? Mystery gnome along. It is September 7th to October 6th. It is Imagined Landscapes Designs. Yeah, it says, "Oh, gnome, you didn't." So cute. Yeah, so I'm going to be doing that. And one of the things I like about these little gnome patterns is they're great for using up your scraps and your minis. So I have a lot of scraps. Some I'm saving for other projects for later this year, but I definitely want to knit a gnome. So I don't think I'm going to do the mystery gnome for the knit along because she has another gnome design I really, really like that I keep popping up everywhere. And so I'm going to knit that gnome. But if it goes real quick and I really want to do a mystery gnome after that, maybe I'll knit 2 gnomes. Yeah, so that's happening. I'm going to be knitting a gnome this next month. So I might have that to show you in the next podcast episode, or it might be a work in progress the next podcast episode, but there are going to be gnomes coming. And if you are participating in the Magical Make-Along, gnomes count. So if you guys want to knit some gnomes with me, you can enter them into your house for the make-along. Ravenclaw does not have a lot of, I think Gryffindor, no, Slytherin, I don't know if Slytherin has any finished objects in their thread yet. So if you're in Slytherin, help your house out. The make-along has not been going on super long yet, so it's fine. But like Hufflepuff has like 1 million projects in their house. So we all know who that is. You know who you are. Yeah, so gnomes count. So if you guys want to make some gnomes with me, I think that would be super fun. I would love to see all of your gnomes. Tag the make along if you post them on Instagram. And you know, if you're doing it with her make along as well, like, you know, definitely tag her make along stuff as well. So a little bit of acquisition. I got this bag at Barnes & Noble. Is this not the cutest? I have a thing for Kate Spade, so yeah, Kate Spade at Barnes & Noble, that'll get me every time. I have a few things in here. I already showed you the Patton's Kroy. A couple other things I got at Hobby Lobby. I got their Cozy Toes. I think this is a new Hobby Lobby yarn, but it's so incredibly affordable. At 30% off, it was $5 and then 30% off of that. So that's a cheap pair of socks for myself. And I thought this was like a really cute one. That like self-patterning, is that like a jacquard kind of thing. I thought it was cute, and it's soft. It's very odd. It's like a very odd, like, I don't know if you can kind of see. It's super stretchy and springy, like a coil. And I'm very curious what this is going to be like, so I just went ahead and I got it. The colorway is All For Alabaster. And I'm just very curious what this is going to knit up like. Yeah, like I said, it's very soft. It's very squishy, but it's very strange. It's like the springiest, stretchiest, it's like slinky yarn. I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. I am curious. It's going to go in with the sock yarn. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that one. And then I got a skein of sock yarn to make my sister-in-law some socks. This is beautiful. This is the Authentic Hand-Dyed Luxe. This is Wisteria Moon. Again, it doesn't focus on the words. Why am I showing it to you? This is 99% superwash merino wool, 1% metallic polyester. It is 420 yards and 100 grams. And yeah, Wisteria Moon. Isn't that beautiful? I think that's really pretty. And my sister-in-law and my little brother, her husband, they both are very sock-worthy, very knit-worthy. They really appreciate their socks. They wear them a lot. My little brother will text me when he's wearing his. It's super sweet, so I will knit them every sock. So yeah, these are going to be socks for my sister-in-law. She loves purple and she loves sparkle, so she's getting sparkly purple variegated socks. She has 2 little babies, so she deserves some more hand knit socks. So that is very fun. I'm excited about that. So experiment socks for me, sparkle socks for my sister-in-law. I also got this, they're calling it a corner guide. You know, it kind of looks like a swatch measuring kind of tool to me. It's the Yarn Bee, I don't know how well you can see that, but it's 2.5 inches. It has 1.5 inch, 2 inches, and then 2.5 inches. And it's got these like little like bees with like the little honeycomb and flower design. I thought it was really cute. I thought it would be nice for swatching, to see, you know, like how many stitches across, how many stitches up. I thought this would be a good little like stitch tool, or swatch tool. So that'll be good. I don't have any tools for swatching because I never swatch, but I probably should. So about the stitch markers, so I showed you the stitch markers a bit ago, or my mortar and pestle stitch marker. Yeah, this is from Sam's Tiny Trinkets, which very cute packaging. You see the mermaid wax stamp? Super cute. Will it focus on it? Kind of. Okay. Anyway, it's a beautiful mermaid wax stamp. So this I'm saving and putting in my craft journal. But yeah, I got a few stitch markers. I'll actually save that one to show you guys on the next episode of the make-along videos. And I'll show these to you guys again on the make-along videos, but I got 2 of these. One is for me and one is for a prize. So these are cute little polymer clay, handmade mushroom stitch marker, progress keeper things. I guess they're more progress keepers. Look how freaking cute they are though. So one of these is for me to use because I need a mushroom progress keeper. And the other one I got for you guys for a prize for the make-along. So the magical make-along. Our prize bundles are growing. And then we also had a pattern prize donation. So we are going to have a pattern prize as well for the make-along prize options. It is a mermaid, it's a crochet pattern for a mermaid soap, like little glove. She has a pouch. She has a much cuter name that makes a lot of sense, but it's basically like a mermaid tail pouch for your soap, and you crochet it, and it's real freaking cute. I might have to get one of those patterns so that I can make one because it's very cute. Yeah, so that's going to be a prize. And then we have the Mushroom Progress Keeper as a prize. We've got some yarn. Yeah, our prizes are growing for the magical make-along. So if you want to make some magic with us and get a magical prize, join us. So those are those things. And then I kind of want to share with you guys too a couple of books that I got just because they're acquisitions. And I guess we'll talk more about books soon, like just in a few minutes. But yeah, so this is a book that I got. I've never gotten any like murder mysteries before. I've never really been into them. But I reflect on it now, and I read Nancy Drew a lot as a child. I really liked the Nancy Drew books, so I think it'd be kind of fun. So this is one of the books in, I guess it's a series or collection. It says it's a Hungarian tea house mystery. So it's one of those like cute, like cozy mystery novels, not like a, actual like thriller, scary murder mystery. This is called Death on the Night of Lost Lizards. And it looks cute. It looks very cute. I judge books by their covers, so I got this one. It says, along with her mother and grandmother, Hannah Keller has achieved renown serving tea and cakes with a European flair, but when a local professor is killed, she uncovers a serving of suspects instead. So I think this will be very cute. This is a really fun, I think, beach read, which is what it's going to be next week, because I will be beaching. Yeah, I know I filmed stuff like at the beach several times this year, and none of them were vacations. I had beach time and I relaxed, but I was working too. So I'm actually going to take a week off next week and just beach, which will be good. So I'll be reading this. I'll also be reading this. This is The Mermaid of Black Conch. This is a newer release, and I'm very excited about this one. Yeah, I'm super excited about this one. I don't think I was able to find it on the Libby app, so I got a hard copy of it. And I tend to buy, again, I judge books by their covers, so sometimes I will buy a hard copy of a book if it's not available for free on audiobook, or if I can't check it out for free. If it's a very pretty cover, I'll buy it if I can get it for a decent price. And most of the time, like, I buy my books used. Those two were new, but most of the time I buy my books used. I buy my clothes used. I buy a lot of stuff used. So I don't really like to buy new stuff a whole lot or pay full price for things, but yeah, I have a whole long list of reasons why I like to buy things secondhand. But yeah, so those books were new, and I did buy them this past week, and wanted to share them with you because they are acquisitions, even if they're not yarny acquisitions. But so I thought that I would just share that real quickly. So we've got our, acquisitions, needle adjacent. So we already did a little bit of knit chat by talking about the magical make along. And I guess I'll talk real quickly too, since I shared about the books, just because it is on theme, and then we'll do our mindfulness practice. So I asked last time about a knitting book club, or like a book club for the knitting channel. There's something weird going on with my screen, and I don't know what's happening. Oh well, hopefully that'll go away because that's annoying. Yeah, so I asked about a book club type thing for the channel, or yeah, just our community, and several people said yes. Let's do a book club, either in the comments on YouTube or on Instagram, or they reached out to me and they were like, yeah, let's do a book club. So I've never done a book club before. I've never been in a book club before, so I'm kind of trying to work out how to do that. During knit night last night, I kind of was trying to crowdsource, and I asked my knit night folks, which you can be a knit night folk too. You can just join us. You can ask me for the Zoom link and I'll give it to you, and you can do knit night with us, and it's real fun. But I was asking what would people want from a book club for the knitting channel. And we had several different ideas that we came up with. None of them are like set in stone that we're absolutely going to do, but we had a few different ideas. Kind of the ones that I'm kind of leaning towards are like book club make-alongs, where we all read the same book, or I think it'd be the same book. I guess it could be books within a series, and then make projects that go along with that book. I think that'd be really, really fun. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. But I wanted to just like throw that out to you guys, see what you think, and ask if you had any ideas for what you would like from a book club that goes along with the knitting channel. Yeah, if you've got ideas, if you've got things that you would like, if you like the idea of doing a book club knit along or make along, and I guess it could be kind of like all, I guess we could do it once and see how it goes, but that could potentially be like a repeat thing that just happens throughout the year, where throughout the year we have like our book club make along, and all that changes is the books and the types of projects that we're doing to go along with them. I think that'd be kind of fun. So yeah, let me know what you think. If you have book suggestions or like genres, or just again, what would you like from a book club, particularly a book club that goes along with a knitting channel, this specific knitting channel. Yeah. So that is that. Let's get into, I'll make sure that I'm not forgetting anything. I don't think so. I have to check my notes, because I'll forget stuff if I don't look at my notes. Yeah. So, I guess, yeah, we'll do our mindfulness segment, and then we'll do a little more knit chat, and we'll talk about books I have been reading after that, because some people might not be interested in that. They might not be interested in the mindfulness segment either, but, feel free to skip it. If we've looked at the yarny things for today, so if that's all you came for, I thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again next time. Yeah, thank you so much. For this next portion, you'll need a skein of yarn. And I honestly was trying to go back into past episodes to see if I've done this already with you guys, and I got real distracted because the puppy decided to pee everywhere, and I was cleaning up that and then got all my stuff ready for podcasting, and with all of that, I forgot to check to see if we've done this already. If we've already done it, we're doing it again. And we'll probably do it slightly differently than we did it last time. Also, I don't think I saw it as a like short, not a short, but like I have a mindful practices playlist on the channel, and I don't remember seeing it the last time I looked. It might be there, but we'll be doing this today because I'm a little sleep deprived and chasing around a puppy and cleaning up his pee all of the time, and didn't remember to check either. So you'll just need a skein of yarn for this. Actually, I'm going to use some of my Handspun. For this. So we're practicing mindfulness of an object, which is a very classic mindfulness practice, and we're going to practice it with a skein of yarn for our practice of it. So all you need is your skein, and it can be also your project you're working on right now. You can just pause the knitting of it or the crocheting of it, or whatever you're doing with it, and we're just going to practice holding it and being mindful with it. It could be a ball of yarn, just yarn in whatever form. It can be a finished object that you're wearing. So I'll give you a second to gather it. You can also pause the video and do it. Okay, you have your object. So we're going to start by first not holding it, just having it in front of you and gazing upon it. So using your sense of sight, looking at it, looking how the light reflects off of it or creates shadows, and trying as best as you can, observing it as if you are seeing it for the very first time, as if you've never seen this object or any object like it before. using a beginner's mind and your beginner's eyes. So gazing upon it, looking at the colors, looking at the textures that you can see. Are there fuzzy bits? Are there shiny bits? Are there places that look soft? Places that look rustic? Seeing how the colors blend together and how they are distinct and separate. And then noting to yourself, noticing anything else that you see just looking at it. And whenever you feel ready to, then picking it up with your hands and first noticing what it feels like to pick it up. How much does it weigh? What is the heft of it? What does it feel like to have the weight in your hands? What does the texture feel like just sitting on your skin? Just resting against the skin, still. Feeling the light pressure of your hands against the yarn. Versus your hands moving across it. Maybe you stroke it and notice what it feels like as you pet it or stroke it. Maybe using the palm of the hand and then trying with the back of the hand. The back of the fingers. Maybe the forearm. And noticing what it feels like and different types of skin. Maybe your face if you like. And then switching to your sense of sight again, moving the yarn around and noticing what it looks like when the light hits it at different angles. Maybe you notice the twist of the yarn. Maybe you notice the angle of the plies of the twists. Noticing areas that become shadowed and then illuminated. Maybe noticing its drape. Is it a very drapey yarn? Is it a very fluffy yarn? Is it very structured? How does it move? How does it want to move? And then a little tactile again with the hands, maybe giving it a few squishes. Noticing the squish of the yarn. As you squish your yarn, tapping into your sense of hearing, what does your yarn sound like? Really listening to your yarn, letting your yarn speak to you. It would be fun another time perhaps to have more than one skein and try squishing them one and then the other and see if they sound different. Then lastly, tapping into your sense of smell. So drawing your awareness to your olfactory senses. So sniffing your yarn like we often love to do. Does it smell like sheep? Does it smell like your lotion? Maybe it smells like wool wash. Maybe it smells like lavender, if you have lavender protecting your yarn. Does it smell like memories? And if you'd like to try it, I would invite you to do a very long, slow, deep inhale and exhale. And if you'd like, you can do that with your skein of yarn. Smells like a very clean sheep. And then anything else that you would like to notice or that calls your attention about your yarn. And then noticing any kind of feeling that comes up. For example, for me, I just have a deep sense of awe and gratitude that comes up as I feel like I have experienced this particular skein in a new way. So that'll be our practice for today. So kind of bringing yourself back to your normal sort of awareness. If you need to wiggle your fingers or toes or take an extra deep, long breath or kind of shift around or stretch a little bit, just to kind of get back settled into your normal sort of state of awareness. Maybe look around the room if you would like. Thank you for practicing that with me. So, on to books that I've read over the last 2 weeks, and then we'll wrap up quickly after that because this is an extra long episode. I will have that practice posted in the mindfulness practices playlist as a separate short video, so it is easy to access. A lot of people, when I'd asked about the mindfulness in the channel, had expressed that they do like having the segment in the podcast episode, but I also got feedback that a lot of people do also like having them as a separate video so that they can find them easily and practice them later on. So I'm just going to do a combo of that and try to have a mindfulness segment more often in the podcast episodes. And whenever I do, I'll also kind of cut it out as its own separate video to post in the playlist for that. So yeah, if there's anything else you guys are needing or wanting from the mindfulness part of the podcast, then you can let me know. But I do appreciate so much you guys answering that question and giving me that feedback on it. That's very helpful to me because I want my channel to be a place for me to have fun and talk about yarn and just be excited with people who understand. But if I can be helpful to the world as well, I would like to be. So, alrighty. What else do we have? So talking about the books. And then also a little bit of knit chat. So I, over the last 2 weeks, I finally went to the library where I live and I got a library card. I have been using the Libby app for checking out books, but I've been using my mother-in-law's library card to do that. So I finally got my own library card. And the library is so delightful. It's well maintained, and I haven't actually been in a library besides a university library for a while. Like I haven't been in a public library in years. And it was very fun. I really enjoyed the atmosphere. It was very nostalgic. So they have groups and things and activities they do at the library. I asked the staff about starting a knitting group or a fiber arts group at the library, and they said that they would get in touch with me about that. So that could be fun. I might start a knitting group or a fiber arts group that meets at the local library. So we'll see how that goes, but that seems promising. As for books that I have been reading the last week, I read, oh, did I not write it down here? I was so prepared. And I had all of this written down somewhere, but it isn't written down in the place where I have it right now. So that's unhelpful. But I've read Practical Magic I've been reading Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman. in the last week. I can actually look this other one up real quick so that I can tell you the author as well. But yeah, Practical Magic, very popular. I'm pretty sure it's a movie now or a TV show or something. Yeah, I've been reading it. It's a little bit slow going just because I can't find it on a free audiobook. So I have been reading it, reading it, and I don't really take the time to actually read very often. Normally, I am listening to audiobooks while driving or doing if there's work that I can do while reading an audiobook, that I will. But most of the time, my work requires my full attention. Housework, definitely knitting. So I, yeah, I've been slow with actually reading this book. Although I might read more of it over the next week while I'm taking a break from things, because it's good to just be still and read and not do anything else sometimes. And my hands probably need a break. They actually are a little achy after all of my crazed Flora Daze knitting over the last few days. But yeah, Practical Magic is good. Again, it's kind of like Magic Lessons by Alice Hoffman. It's not a super happy book, but it's good. It's interesting. It's entertaining. It's not happy, but it's good. And it has happy bits and funny bits. But I would not say overall that it is a super fun. It is a fun read, I think, but it's not super happy. And if you're not familiar with the story, basically it's following a couple of sisters whose aunts may or may not be witches. They haven't made that clear yet. But the two women probably can do some magic. And then one of their sisters, and so one of the sisters has two daughters herself, and both of those daughters probably are doing magic without knowing. And yeah, it just gets into their escapades. There's very rich character development, I think. Well, there's good character development, I'd say. I'm enjoying it, and it's fun to be reading during the Magical Make-Along. The book I just finished was Circe by Madeline Miller, which was a delight. It's written from the perspective of Circe, the Greek goddess, and it follows the stories of the gods from Greek mythology, but from their perspective, and in great detail. So Circe, was exiled to an island and had interactions with some other gods, but then a lot of mortals. So a lot of mortals Odysseus and Achilles and Daedalus, those famous mortals from Greek mythology. They make appearances and things. It's very fun. She does magic, which I just didn't really realize going into it. The reason that I was reading it was because one of my friends recommended it to me, because she is a weaver. And so he thought that I would enjoy that because she dyes yarn and weaves and that sort of thing. And then she also does magic. So it fit in with the Magical Make-Along in that regard as well. But it was good. Circe was a really good book. It has sad parts, definitely. And it does have a little bit of a sadder overall kind of feel, I think. But it is good. The ending is good. And I wouldn't say it is a sad book. It's just not a super upbeat, super happy book. I'm trying to think, though, what would I classify as a happy book? Harry Potter is a happy book to me. The first 4. And then the last 3 of the Harry Potter series I would classify as a little darker. Circe and Practical Magic are not dark. They're just, maybe they're balanced. But a lot of really unfortunate stuff happens to all of the characters in Practical Magic and Magic Lessons. In Circe, actually, she has a lot of unfortunate things happen to her too. So yeah, it's not as sad, but they didn't make me sad to read, really. Well, Magic Lessons did a little, but I talked about Magic Lessons in the previous episode. So those are the books that I have been reading over the last 2 weeks. I will finish up Practical Magic in the next few days, I think, because I've checked that out as a library book, so that it's going to be returned whether I want to or not in the next few days. So I'll finish that up. And yeah, you already know what I'm going to be reading next. Death on the Night of Lost Lizards. and The Mermaid of Black Conch. And I'm excited about those. I'll be reading a few other books too, probably. But those are the main ones. I think that is everything. Yeah, we were kind of all over the place today. I'm sorry if that was too jumbled. I try to be organized, but again, I'm still a little sleep deprived from the puppy, so please forgive me if I'm a little bit more disorganized than usual. The next knit night on Zoom is going to be on September the 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So that information will be in the description down below, but I hope to see you there. You just message me. You can email me, message me on Instagram, message me on Ravelry. I'd be happy to give you the Zoom link if you would like to join us. It really is a lot of fun. We talk for hours and knit for hours and enable each other and show each other patterns and yarn. I bought some yarn last night. It's a lot of fun. So I think that is all for today. I am going to go get some lunch and get ready to go to work. I hope that you guys had a good time hanging out with me today. I certainly had a good time hanging out with you. Yeah, I love feedback. Any questions that you have, I'd be happy to answer. If you can let me know about the book club, that'd be great. And if you've got any other ideas or feedback about the mindfulness for the podcast or for the channel, you can let me know that as well. So if you want to check out more information about the Magical Make-Along, we do have videos for that. There's a welcome video and an information video. And both of those have all the information that you need for the Magical Make-Along. And you can join us on Ravelry and Instagram for that as well. So I will see you guys next time. I hope that you have a wonderful crafting. And yes, thank you so much. Bye.